I'm going to carry out some searches in the BIOSIS citation index. This is a very structured database and I'm going to use that structure to help with my searching. I'm going to focus on three types of searches: major concepts, which is for broad subject searching; a species search using the taxonomic data field; and taxa notes, which is for searching for broad groupings of animals. For example, I'm looking to find information on the biodiversity of the buff-tailed bumblebee. There's two ideas for the search here: biodiversity and a species of bumblebee. When searching in BIOSIS for a species, you should use the systematic name, so I'll search for Bombus terrestris. I'll search each idea in turn and then combine the searches. Often when searching a database, I would need to think of all the different terms that an author might have used to describe that topic. However, BIOSIS has created a number of indexes, which mean that you don't need to think of all the different search terms. Instead, you use one term from their list. For example, major concepts are terms that are used to index broad topics that are discussed in the papers. For example, all papers that discuss nutrition, feeding, diets, etc. are all indexed under one major concept term: nutrition. There's a list of major concepts that you can browse or search to check if the topic you're interested in is listed. I've logged on to BIOSIS Citation Index via the portal and the A to Z list of online resources. I'm going to search for the major concept first, and on the search screen, in the first search box, I choose the major concepts option, and it presents the select from a list, so I can see the full list of major concepts that are available. So there's a couple of ways to search through the major concepts. You can either type a term in the search box to search throughout the index, or you can simply browse the terms. One thing to notice is that the spellings are American, so for example, behaviour is spelled the American way. BIOSIS uses American spellings in its indexes and lists, so that's something to look out for. As we browse down the list, you can see, for example, there's some useful terms here: environmental sciences, and if we click on a little plus next to that, we can see the submenu, which has further, more specific options. So one way is to browse to find your term. The other way is just to type your term in the box at the top. So I'm looking for biodiversity within this index and click on find. And here you can see it's found biodiversity. I'm just going to click on this little S. S is for the scope note, and that tells you a bit about this search term. So click on S, and you'll notice here it tells me about the term. There's the scope note here at the bottom. Above that there are related terms, so these are other terms closely related to biodiversity, and the database is suggesting that perhaps these other terms might be useful for your search if you're interested in biodiversity. The scope note is also interesting. I'll scroll along to see the full scope note. It says here, for studies of the conservation of biodiversity, see conservation or wildlife management. So it's actually suggesting that if you're interested in the conservation aspect of biodiversity, that you shouldn't use this term in your search. Instead, use one of these other terms, and it lists them here for you, so it'd be easy to switch to search for those instead. And then finally it says what biodiversity is actually going to search for, and that is studies of the assessment of the number and kind of species in an area. So it's well worth looking at the scope note. It gives you a lot of help on whether this is the best term to use for your search. So I'm going to select add next to biodiversity, and when I click on add, you'll notice that it adds the word biodiversity to the box at the foot of the screen, and then I say OK, and it transfers the term from the index into the search screen. So now I'm ready to search biodiversity as a major concept within the whole database. Currently we'll be searching all years of the database, and BIOSIS goes back to 1926, so you nearly always want to change these years. There's some preset options, so I'm just going to say last 5 years. If you want to choose a more precise range of years, you can do that just below, and I'm going to click on search. So I found a good number of results for that major concept biodiversity. I'm going to go back to the search screen to continue with my search. Click on the search link in the top left hand corner, clear out the biodiversity search. Now I want to search for the species name, and that is Bombus terrestris, and I'm putting that in the double quotes because it's a phrase search. So I'll find those two words together in that order. And note that in BIOSIS, to search for a species, I use the systematic Latin name. And then I change the search option to taxonomic data. When I'm searching for a species, I use the taxonomic data option and click on search. Now I want to combine my two search ideas together, so go to the search history option, and here you can see my biodiversity search and the Bombus terrestris search. Along at the far right hand side I can select the searches that I want to combine and then use and or. I want to use and because I'm narrowing this search down, joining these two IDs together, and click on combine. Showing me here I've found 16 results. So click on the number 16 to see the results. I'm going to select the first article and you can see that the terms that I've searched on are highlighted. So here you see in the major concepts section of the record, I found this because it's got biodiversity in it, and in the taxonomic data there's Bombus terrestris, which is how I found this record. So you see this section of the record is all the indexing terms that have been added which you can use in your searching. So this should be a relevant paper on those topics. You also have the check web bridge button here at the top left hand corner. We can move to the next record using a little orange arrow. I can add a record to my marked list using the add to marked list option there, and you see it's now says 1 after I've clicked on it, and when I selected that record you see at the top here there's this option marked list. It has 1. If I move to the next record and add this one to my marked list as well, you see my marked list at the top now has 2. So I can go through my records marking them. From the marked list page I select marked list at the top. I can output my records. I can choose what part of the records to output, I can print, and also I can export to RefWorks. From the drop down list at the end there you can see RefWorks. I'll just exit the marked list, go back to carry on searching, and I'll just clear out that last search. That was looking at using major concepts and searching by species. Next I'm going to look at using taxa notes. These are for very large groupings of taxonomically related organisms, and they're created to allow ease of searching. For example, if you're interested in work particularly on humans, it's going to cover women, men, children, Homo sapiens. Instead of having to type all those different words in, you can just use the one taxa note, humans, or another taxa note is birds, so it covers all the different species that fall within the category birds, and so on. Within BIOSIS, to search by taxa note, you choose taxa notes from the search box drop down list, and it shows you a list of the different taxa notes that are available. You can just scroll down through this list, or if I choose a letter on the keyboard it will jump to that. I'm going to search for insects, so I'll type I on the keyboard and it jumps me down to insects. So I've highlighted insect. You always need to combine a taxa note search with another type of search. I'm interested in nutrition in insects, so in my second search box I'm going to type nutrition, and I know this is a major concept. I've used it in the past, so I don't need to go back and select it from the list. If I know it already, I can just select major concepts and type nutrition straight into the search box, click on search. So I found more than 1600 articles. Within BIOSIS I don't need to always search using the indexes. If I have more detailed subject areas, I probably need to do keyword searching as I would traditionally do in other databases. So I'm going to go back to the search screen and clear out that last search. If I want to search by keyword, I can just choose the topic option for searching. And so for example, if I'm interested in the protein aspects of nutrition in insects, I'll search for protein and then combine that with the search I've just completed. Protein, and I can use the truncation symbol, the asterisk, to find protein or proteins, and I can use or to put in other terms that authors might have used. Peptides or amino acids, and I'll put amino acid in the double quotation marks to find that as a phrase. Click on search. Now go back to my search history and combine the protein search with the insects and nutrition search. So I'll combine those last two searches using and to narrow and click on combine. And that's found 525 results. I can narrow further using all the different refine results options on the side. There's some useful ways to limit your search results. In particular, there's literature types. and I can limit to review articles. In BIOSIS they call them literature review. Tick the box and click on the refine button. These results are only review articles. I just select search to return to the search screen. You can see that BIOSIS is a very structured database and that this can improve your searching and increasing the relevance of your results. It's worth taking time to look at all the different indexes that are available that might be useful for you.